You know what? I'm actually gonna just start recording. So, this might sound a little bit weird, but I haven't even started editing Act 2, and I'm just jumping straight into recording Act 3. I had this feeling, and what I did was I actually went and I wrote down my guesses for Act 2. They're all on the screen. You can kind of look at them right now until I kind of squint, but I basically rolled off the list like several people. The exact people from Act 1 are still rather suspicious. The only people that I actually have fully written off at the end of Act 2 is the two people that were dead and the one person that was bedridden. Like, that's about it. Like, the Reed family, I've basically fully crossed off. James Howard is super unlikely. Trisha and Charles basically are a no, and the only people left that have any sort of likelihood is Scott and Matthew Brooks, which Scott really does feel like it's a red herring. Like, especially after you reach Act 2 and you start looking into like all of the stuff that he's doing on the side, like actively trying to investigate, and it doesn't sound like that he was planning on killing her, he just wanted answers. Derek Tyler is a little bit less likely than in Act 1, now that we have all of his journals, but Bernard, having being directly called out by the detective, makes him go a little bit further up. So at this point, the only people that are actually on the table at all is Bernard, Derek, Matthew, and Scott, and that's about it. Now, I say that because I have actually gone and watched Vote for Holt's Act 2 video, like I said I was going to. The problem is that it's a good thing I wrote this down because I actually know the mystery now. It's not the fact that the mystery is spoiled to me. It's the fact that I'm trying to like examine all of this, like as the way that the story is like trying to go. And I could just put all of that evidence off to the side. And as I kind of said, like the second that we get into Act 3, it's boots on the ground trying to find all of the information and 100%ing the game at that point. Because at that point, at the end of Act 2, you should have all of the information needed to solve the case. And Act 3 is just finding the smoking gun. Actually, I don't think I've talked about my philosophy on mystery stories. I feel like in every good mystery story, you have this Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure that this game has. And Act 1 is setting up the world, events, and characters. And you get a bunch of information all at once to disassemble and say, okay, who is where, who was doing what, who is important to who, and why are certain characters in the places that they are. It's why I took so much more notes in Act 1 than in Act 2. And I'm probably not going to touch my notes like at all unless it's like super important. And as one of the reasons why I wanted to write down all of my Act 2 suspicions, because I felt like when you close out the Act 2, you are basically pointed at the suspect. And all of Act 3 is catching them in the lie or the moment that will lock them in place. I guess the best way to put it is that we need to find Bernard's hand on the murder weapon. Derek Tyler, we need a better motive for killing Vivian. Matthew Brooks, we need more of a motive for people that aren't just Vivian. Because it's clear that whoever killed Vivian was also killing the other people in the town, you know? And we need more of that. And we need any form of evidence that Scott would go to the extent of killing the characters, especially since he was close to Andrew and didn't even suspect Dr. Johnson of having any wrongdoing in this, even though he is culpable for several of the murders. I think the best way to kind of start Act 3 is not to use any of our keys to solve these puzzles. So because I watched the Act 2 video, I actually know how to solve certain puzzles. I don't know the exact codes for several of them. Like, I don't know the actual, like, number you have to put in for the dart puzzle, but I know how to find it now. I know how to open the study desk. I know how to open the painting safe. But I'm waiting for the game to directly give me some of that information. Oh, also, a thing I should probably mention. I didn't know until watching that because there's a part of that Act 2 video that shows what happens when you make an accusation early. If you leave the town immediately, even if it's the right choice, you will basically get a game over and be fired, which is really funny. If you try to solve the case now and you don't have the smoking gun, you're going to get the quote unquote Act 2 ending, which is it goes out there. The news could be basically anything, but some of our facts are going to be wrong, and the game is going to tell us, hey, some of your facts are wrong. You didn't even get 100%. I'm wanting to get that 100%. I want to find everything that there is to find, and then probably go through and grab the Act 1 and Act 2 ending achievements, but that's for later. Right now, we have 3 keys, and we have 3 puzzles that we can solve right now. First up, we need to go to the study, because all of the stuff that is currently in the study, we could effectively unlock right now, except for one thing, because I don't believe I can actually open up the study desk. Let me double check my pictures. So we have a pawn that is number 2, a knight that is number 5, a queen that is number 1, and a rook that's number 7. I believe I have to wait until I have a bishop and a king to be able to open up that desk. Let me just go over there and show you what I mean. Okay, so the audio cut out here, so I'm going to just explain it now. On the desk, you can actually see very faintly K, Q, B, K above the numbers. So you need to figure out which corresponding piece goes with which number, put in that number for the piece that corresponds to. And of course, they had to put both the knight and the king into this so that both Ks are used, which is infuriating. And for the bookshelf puzzle, when it says 4 right, 6 left, 3 right, it's actually going from the left side of the bookcase or the right side of the bookcase, going in that many books and pushing those in. It honestly, I never would have figured this out on my own. And if you've actually seen Holt's video, you'll notice that almost that every single other person completely ignored this puzzle because they had no idea how this worked. And I think this just comes from it being a little bit too obtuse of a puzzle, but hey, sometimes that happens. I think that puzzle would be a lot more intuitive if there was any sort of way to explain that book that we're looking at is pertaining to how to solve this code. It is a tad annoying. Magdalene Roberts, mother of Charles, dies at the age of 68. 75, dated September 27th. Hospital reports heart attack as main cause of death. Magdalene Roberts passed away last night at the age of 68. She was visiting her son Charles Roberts in Painscreek when her heart failed. Dorothy Patterson, a maid working at the mansion, knocked at Magdalene's door at 7 a.m. So there's no answer, she assumed Magdalene was still sleeping. It was 2 hours later when Magdalene still did not respond to her knocking that she realized that something was wrong. She called Bernard Hopkins, the mansion butler, who came and opened the room to find Magdalene lying on the bed. She wasn't breathing and immediately called 911. Dr. Johnson, family doctor and head of Painscreek Community Hospital, arrived at the mansion at around 6:30 a.m. and pronounced Magdalene Roberts dead. According to Dr. Johnson, Magdalene Roberts probably had a heart attack sometime in the middle of the night. More accurate diagnosis is yet to be determined, but Magdalene's death is most probably the result of high blood pressure and old age. And we know from the confessional that was most likely caused by giving her higher doses of medicine than she needed. Dear Charles, I received a letter from Dorothy yesterday. She told me everything. What have you done, my son? Does Vivian know? Have you considered the consequences of your actions, and what of this Sophia? What will you do with her? You made a mistake, and you'll need to take responsibility for what you've done. Do you understand? You cannot take her as your wife. You already have one. The scandal cannot be publicly known. It will destroy your political career. However, the child is important. He is your flesh and blood and might be the son you need to properly continue the family. I am now preparing to visit you. Do not say anything to Vivian yet. I will take care of it when I arrive. I see. So the impetus for her death was that she found out about Charles's affair, went there, confronted Vivian. Vivian, in haste, tried to get rid of Sophia before she arrived, ended up killing her, and then making the argument that she left. Because Magdalene wanted to look more into this, because this was a male heir, she asked Dr. Johnson for extra medicine to spike into it. And I'm going to guess that Bernard is the one who basically did the killing blow, so to speak. You know, he was the one that probably spiked it. One is May 3rd, 1974. June 11th, 1974. Vivian hasn't spoken much since she was discharged from the hospital. Dr. Johnson said that she has fully healed, but it will take some time for her to adjust back to her old rhythm. I feel our relationship is deteriorating, or has suffered permanently in some way. I love Trisha, and I know Vivian does too. I can only hope that my mother's passion for our grandson will not affect Vivian's love for Trisha. I hope she does not hold any resentment towards Mother. June 11th, 1974. Our baby daughter is born today. We've named her Trisha. Oh, I see what happened. So it's May 3rd, June 11th, June 17th. Well, weird, but okay. Our baby daughter was born today. I'm just glad that both mother and child are safe. Thank God for that. I feel so happy to have a baby in the family. There's no words to express the joy I'm feeling inside. At the same time, I'm worried of what mother might say once she knows that the baby is a girl. Vivian is being hospitalized for the second time in a year. First time was for the C-section, this time for mental instability. Dr. Johnson told me not to visit her until she was stabilized and ready to receive me. What can I do? Mom wants a baby, but it's not safe for Vivian to be pregnant anymore. Sometimes I feel lost, not knowing what to do. Mostly I just feel lonely. I never thought this would happen. Whenever Sophia is babysitting Trisha, she would listen to everything I have to say. I could express myself candidly. Never once did she question the decisions I made. It made me feel like she understands me. I found comfort in her both spiritually and physically. I just never thought I would have a relationship with her. What should I do now? I have a name for our child. He'll be called Vincent Roberts. I will add him to my will. Sophia seems to be hiding as well as she can from Vivian. Even I have not seen her in these last 2 days. I wonder where she could be. Oh, that is a bit more interesting. Okay. So I know that, like, that entire, like, room back over there is just information we already knew. But now we actually know something rather interesting by itself. So Charles actually did leave everything in his will to Scott. And I'm going to bet that one of the legal things that he ran into trouble with is that he had to basically prove that he was Vincent Roberts. And that's not too hard of a thing to prove, to be honest, especially in the 90s. But, like, I am wondering if that was one of the things that led to Scott's death. So that I don't actually know if Charles is dead. I know that Trisha is. Okay. Music box. Dear Trisha, I've grown to learn about my birth parents. I feel as if a great veil has been lifted from my eyes. I now understand why Father Matthew was against seeing us together. He was right, we shouldn't. Please believe me when I say I did not kill your mother. I never lied to you, and I never will. I don't know who killed Vivian. Hopefully the truth will come to light someday. There is so much that I want to tell you, but I cannot at this moment, and the day I pray the day when I can express everything to you will come quickly. All I can say now is that I am sorry for the pain that I've caused you. Please forgive me sincerely, Scott. I'm just trying to think of some things. Just give me a second here. So it may not seem like much, but I feel like that letter may have never actually reached Trisha. And one of the reasons why is because it was in the lockbox, and the key for which was in the secret room that Scott told Trisha to unlock when she's ready, and she never unlocked the door, we know, because the cross is still in her drawer. So she never got that letter. And what probably happened was that she was given the music box, the steel cross, at the same time. She put the music box in her in her dresser, cause it still kind of looks, maybe because it was moved around a lot when they were grabbing her books. But then took the steel cross and put it inside of her drawer, which she then locked. Because of the layers of keys, locking keys, I actually doubt she ever read that note. And I'm gonna say right now, I don't think... I have a sneaking suspicion that, yeah, if I wasn't already writing off Trisha as like as a valid suspect, like that note tells me that she is definitely not a valid suspect. And I am kind of crossing Scott off the list too, because I don't feel like that would be a note that he would leave and not confess in some way. And then this is here just so we don't wander off over there, I guess. So, Sophia's body was here. Oh, here she lies. Found at the bottom of the well. Something is etched onto the back. One 526. 0526. I was actually expecting Sophia to be standing there where she was before. Just kind of give me like a jump scare as I was coming up. I wonder. Let me actually double check something. Okay, let me explain what my thinking was. So for some reason, the 4-digit combination right there made me think of the lockers at the nurse's station at the hospital. And I had to look to see if her name was on one of the nurse's lockers. And, one, no. Because that's... because she didn't work at the nurse, at the hospital. But second, and kind of more importantly, why would I think it's there? Also, let me just, like, pull this back up so you can see what I mean. It's off-center, so that's the first two letters of a 6, or a 5 or 6 digit combination. Like, that's not a 4-digit combination. Now, places that we know we still have not opened, you know? We haven't opened the sheriff's cabinet. We haven't opened up the red time capsule. We haven't opened up the study room. We haven't opened up the nurses' lockers. We haven't opened the desk at Silver Lake 31, the desk at the church, and that's about it. I know how to get the code for the church desk. None of the nurse lockers make sense for that code. I know the painting safe code, and that's 6 digits. So I don't think this one is going to be pointing to that unless we can like cross-reference that in a bit. The study room desk involves the chess pieces, so it's not going to be that one. I know how to find the code for the red time capsule, and it's not that. So, sheriff's cabinet? That's the one that's the most suspicious. Because if that is actually leading me towards the sheriff's cabinet, that's ultra suspicious. Like, that suddenly, like, throws a wrench into everything that I basically mentioned at the beginning of this recording session, which, fair game, uh... Okay, first, we're gonna try the 4-digit combination on the sheriff's locker. Probably not going to be... not gonna work, but I might as well try. 05... Is that a 9 or a 2? I believe that's a 2. Nope. Okay. Next, I'm going to explain the code for the painting, but I'm not actually going to open it yet. Because I feel like that it's a bit of a sequence break, but at least I know how to find the exact day. Sorry, the exact number that opens up that combination. So, when I first came to the graveyard, I mentioned something very specific about Scott Brooks's tombstone. Has a date, and I made the reference that this is probably the only way that they were able to show the day that he was born and the day he died. The only other time that we've had to come to the graveyard after we first come here is for this reason. So Father Calvin Bennett has his birthday and the day of his death on his gravestone. And we had to use his birthday to unlock a 6-digit long combination. That would lead to the idea that Scott's birthday, aka Vincent Roberts' birthday, is going to be what is behind the safe that Charles looks at with such sadness. Which, unironically, is a pretty great guess, considering that it is, again, the only 2 gravestones that have any sort of, like, confirmed hard dates on it. So it makes a lot of sense that they would be the ones that you use for codes, you know? It'd be a lot less obvious if every single one of them had both the exact day and month, but having the information like that is neat, because, and considering that the 2 grave sites are so next to each other, you instantly realize what is going on with those 2. So you used Calvin's birthday to open up one 6-digit combination, You're gonna use Scott's birthday to open up the other one. Also, I never said this in the earlier one. Sorry about accidentally deleting the footage of me finding the painting. It like when I was editing and like going through, I just like click this open and like go through. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention the fact I found that in a my original playthrough of the game before I even started recording. And so it was just second nature to be like, okay, that's should be open so I could see the safe, so I could write down how many combinations it is. And I just completely forgot to mention it. I forgot to write down Scott's birthday. Now I have to go all the way back. So I decided to stop the episode there and just basically cut it. One, because I just crossed over half an hour, which I'm trying to make all the videos now around half an hour. But I feel like the rest of the video, because we have roughly around, I want to say like 3 episodes left of what I've recorded. And again, I still have to go back and finish recording the rest of the game at some point. But man, I need to get this video out. I've been so unproductive this week. Sorry for the like delay in videos. I've been trying to move it from 2 episodes a week. Sorry, from 1 episode a week, maybe to two, and it's not really working out too well. But I'm gonna try to step it up. I'll see all y'all next time. Goodbye.